Yes, good morning, everyone. So, in previous session, we have seen two important features of Python, and for today also we are going to continue with the same platform independent language. Python is one of the platform independent language. Okay, why so? We are going to see it. Okay, so already we have seen what is platform independency. Okay, platform is nothing but operating system. Okay, and which the language which is not depending on the operating system, we call it as platform independent language. Okay, so you write it. What is platform? First of all, we'll see what is platform. Platform is nothing but type of operating system. Okay, it is a type of operating system we have. You can also call it as OS. Okay, used to run a program or applications. Clear? Platform is nothing but type of operating system used to run a program or application here. Okay. Then what is platform independent? A language is said to be platform independent if its application runs on every operating system. Okay, and when we talk about the Python is one of the platform independent language because its execution environment stores all values in the form of object, and objects are independent independent or to or from the operating system. Okay, so Python is one of the platform independent language because its execution environment stores all the values in the form of object or inside the object, you can say. Okay, and objects are independent from the operating system. Why? I'll tell you. Okay, see, there are two things in other programming language. When we talk about other programming language like C, C++, Java, okay, there are specified memory, or we can say there is a size of each and every data type, you can say, right? For integer there is 4 byte. Okay, if you have ever gone through the other programming language like C++, then each and every, if you check, I'll show you specific example as well. Just wait. See, in C programming we will see for integer there are 2 or 4 bytes of data. That means memory usage. Okay, for float it takes 4 bytes. That means there is a limit to store the data. Okay, similarly for double character 1 byte, for double 8 byte, and so many things we have. Understood? This is how we have a limitations over there. Why? Because these all the data are being stored in the form of variables. Okay, normal variables, and variables are kind of a platform dependent. Not I wouldn't say variables are platform dependent, but there is a size boundation, you can say. Okay, size boundation, integer takes 2 byte, that means 2 or 4 byte. More than 2 and 4, 2 or 4 byte, we can't store the data. For that, if you want, you have to go for either long, double, okay, and so many things we have. If you want to take a short value, short integer is there. Okay, so different types, different way we have. And this is what we are talking about, the C programming. Let's call Java. Now if you take here, if you check here, primitive data type and non-primitive. Bytes takes minus 128 to 127. Short integer minus 32,000 bit to 30 plus 32,000 bit. Okay, integer takes minus of this particular bit to this particular bit. Okay, similar, all this has specific data. That means more than that we can't store here. Understood? More than that we can't store here. But when I talk about Python, Python stores all the data in the form of what? Object. And objects are totally independent to its operating system. That means there is no size boundation, there is no limitation of storing the data. Understood? I can store any number of data in my objects, any size of the data in my object, I can say. Understood? Clear it is? Yes, everyone online? Just give me a quick confirmation. Is it clear? Yes, Bindu, Harsh, Nagasai,
Yes,
Rajiv, Srinivas, Supraja. Clear it is, I guess so. Okay. Now we'll talk about the fourth one, that is dynamically typed. Python is one of the dynamically typed language. What is the meaning of this dynamically typed language here? Do you know? Dynamically typed language. See, when I talk about other programming languages, okay, you check it. Sum of two numbers you check here. Okay, in C programming, I will tell you. So if you notice here, just a simple example it has written, that is just adding of two integer values, that means two numbers. So for each number, if you check here, we are also specifying, if you check here, integer is what, one of the data type. That means what I'm trying to say is number 1 and number 2 and sum, three different variables I have taken, which is being specified with what, the data type. Understood? That means with each data type, if I take, let's say here I'm taking number, later on if I take any string value, I need to specify here. If I take float value, I need to specify here that float of that particular variable name. Here I am taking integer of this number 1, number 2 and sum. That means all these three data belongs to what? Integer. Now you need to focus and you need to understand that each time whenever you are declaring a variable, you have to specify the data type as well. These types of programming language are known as static typed programming language. Okay, where explicitly we need to define or declare the data type. Understood? Clear it is? Okay. But when we talk about Python, Python is one of the programming language where data type, or we can say variables, does not require to filled with or mentioned any data type over there. Okay, it does not require to declare any data type prior. Okay, for example, let me write it first. In programming language, okay, I'll say in general, we have two types of programming language. Okay, the first one is static typed programming language, and the second one is dynamically typed programming language. Okay, so there's two things, one by one we are going to see. What is static type? Explicitly we need to declare the data type. Okay, so just now you have seen here you have to write, before writing any variable you have to specify the data type of that. For example, let's say there is a program of taking a user input as an obviously user input, let's say name is what type of data? String it is, that means characters. String it is, that means what? We need to specify here that we are going to use the characters. Okay, when we talk about percentage means point value. So point value in the sense float, so we need to specify float here, float of percentage. Let's say we are taking true or false, so what type of data it is? Boolean. We need to specify boolean, we are working with boolean. So every time, instead of specifying the data type here, or defining, or you can say declaring the data type here, what you will do? Simply, now you check it. Basically, what is the difference between static and dynamic? If I say is equals to 10, what type of data? 109, let's say. 109 is what type of data? Integer. So did I specify here? No. If you check here, print of type of a, check it, what it is coming? Integer. Understood? Clear it is. Similarly, if I go for a is equals to, let's say, 1.2, 1.2, what type of data? Float. Go for it. Float it is saying. A is equals to something like, let's say, abc. Abc is what type of data? String. So it is going to say str here. If I say something like a is equals to true, true is boolean. Check it, boolean it is saying. So before writing this particular value, that is a is equals to 109, once I write 109, immediately pvm will understand that this data is what type of? Integer type of data. pvm immediately understand what 1.2 is what type of data? Floating point data. That means obviously by seeing this itself, I can understand that what type. See, everything has a behind the scene scenario. Behind the scene scenario in the sense, it is getting converted first. Okay, each data has its own ASCII value. Now, what is ASCII value? I will tell you when it comes to interpreted programming language. I'll explain you about that also. Okay. Now, this ASCII value is this normal value is being checked into or being converted into ASCII value first. Then it is coming to what? 1.2. 1.2 is what type of data? It is a decimal value. So immediately PVM says that type of data is known as a floating point data. ABC inside the quotes, it could be single quote, double quote, triple quote, whatever. Inside the quote, whatever you are writing, what type of data? String data. As we can also understand, PVM can also understand. PVM means Python virtual machine. Okay, sorry, I forgot to tell you. PVM is nothing but an internal process. How data is being converted, how data is being processed. Okay, behind that there is a term called PVM, Python virtual machine. Just like JVM, Java also has the same Java virtual machine. Okay, so similarly we have in Python also called as PVM. So whatever the behind process we are going through, or whatever the uh, behind the scene, whatever the process is happening, that can be done by whom? That only is done by PVM. PVM is, you can say, it is kind of a engine for our Python. Okay, PVM is kind of an engine for our Python. Without engine, we can't run the car. Without PVM, we can't run the Python codes. Understood? Okay. So basically, it is not a physical or viewable structure. It is just a conceptual structure. It is that only can be we can understand it. That what happened, what happens, and what it do. What does the PVM do? That is only we can understand. Okay, just how we can't see how the heart is getting or you can say if you feel some you feel bad, right? Sometimes you feel bad. Okay, you don't feel, you feel down. Okay, usually it happens, you feel down, but you can't see it, right? How I'm feeling down, you can't see it. That is a conceptual thing. You only can feel it, you can't show it, you can't express it to someone, right? So that is also PVM also the same. We only can understand it, we can't see it, how does it look, or where is the PVM file or anything. It is not a physical appeared things, or it cannot be appeared. Okay, that is what I wanted to say. Did you understand so far? So static typed programming language is one of the programming language. You just write it here. Variables. Srinivas, go ahead.
Just now you told, right? So if you want to, if you put the single quote, a double quote, it will check it as a string value.
Uh,
And what if you're not putting the single quote or double quote for the characters? Or if
we
what if
will.
you put the single quote or double quote for the numbers or float values?
That's what I will tell you later on. We have a specific concept called typecasting. There we will see. But you are saying something like this, like ABC, is it?
Yes, yes.
So in this case, we will get error. Check it. Name error. ABC is not defined because
Okay.
now this ABC, now PVM is checking for a variable called ABC.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, which is not present here. If I say a let's say I'll be writing ABC is equals to something, I'm giving 10. Now if I say a is equals to ABC, now there is a term called ABC already specified with a value called 10. That means
Okay.
this 10 value is being assigned to this a value.
Got it.
Okay, so if I say a, that is also 10. If I say ABC, that is also 10.
Means we are assigning a value to the specific character.
That's it. Only thing
And
we
what
are
if I
doing is,
put, yeah, what if we put the double quotes for the numbers or float values?
for that also it is going to considered as a, string only. Whatever you keep inside this double quote, it is going to considered as string only. You check it. If I say type of this string itself,
Got it.
okay,
Okay.
yeah. So write it down. Variable must be declared with data type to avoid compile time errors. Okay, for example, you can say what are the languages we have. C programming we have, C++ you have, okay, Java you have, you can also consider .NET as well, and so many languages we have. Okay, and just now we have seen an example of this static type where each time whenever you are declaring a variable, you also have to specify the data type. Okay, but when we talk about the Python programming language, it is one of the dynamically typed language. Dynamically typed language in the sense we do not have to specify the data type here explicitly. Okay, explicitly, that is one thing we need to mention here explicitly. Okay, in static type programming language, we need to specify explicitly. Okay, while writing our code, we need to specify it explicitly. Whereas in dynamically typed, with the help of your data, given data, PVM will understand what type of data you have used here. Understood? Quite easy to understand, right? So variables doesn't require, or I would say don't need explicit data type declaration. Okay, and I would say Python is an example where the execution environment determines the data type. And what is execution environment? Just now PVM. Okay, so execution environment is nothing but PVM. Okay, PVM determines the data type. Okay, based on the value used in the program, you say. Clear it is? Understood? And one more point you write, in Python all values are stored as object. Okay, and behind every object, whatever the object or whatever the variable we are taking, there is a specific class. Now what does this mean? I'll explain you. All values are stored as object, and behind these objects are classes. Clear it is? Now what does this particular line mean? Now you can check here. Let me just clear the screen first. Okay, what was that? Huh. So now you check it. Let's say number I am taking. Number is one of the variable name here. Okay, and this particular sign is known as what? Assignment operator. We call it as assignment operator. Okay, this is what left part is known as variable. This is known as assignment operator, and whatever I am using here, this is known as value. So one more time, left side variable, middle operator, and right side value. Basically we are assigning this 1000 into what? Number variable. So whenever you want to use this 1000, use number instead. So every time you do not have to go for 1000, instead what you will use? Number itself. Understood? Any type of data you can store. Whatever data you are taking, any amount of large amount of data also you can store here. Inside what you are storing? Number. So instead of using all the large amount of data, you will be using what? Number itself. Understood? Clear? So now you can check. Number is equals to 1000. Now we know what type of data it is. What type of data? Integer it is, right? And PVM also knows. But we need to check whether it is a integer or not. I'll go for type of number. Integer coming, and you check one more time, you read it. In Python all values are stored as a normal programming, overall programming language, we call it as a variable. But when we talk about Python programming language, as Python programming language is one of the independent language, platform independent language, because its objects are totally independent from its operating system. But basically what I am trying to say is, whatever the data is being stored somewhere, that is also known as variable. But in Python programming, we can also call it as an object. Understood? Why? Because behind every object there is a class. And in this particular example, what is the class name? Integer. So you can check here, class is integer. When you want to create any class, and once you create a class, you have to create an object for that also. In simple way, I'll tell you one thing. When you have created a structure of a car, okay, but you don't have engine over there, will you be able to run it? Will you be able to drive it? No, right? So behind that structure, there should be one engine. Okay, but if I say something like 1000 is one of the car you have created, but you don't have engine, how will you use it? Will you go again and again? Will you write this? Okay, let's say 1000 is a small number, right? I would say something like, let's say 10, 20, 30, and I'll say something like, let's say Python. I'll go for it something like, let's say Java. Okay, and I'll write something like, let's call it as let's say call it as true. Okay, now this is my value. We got the value, right? Again and again, now let's say again in my program I need this same thing one more time. Will you write again this longer data? No, right? You don't want to use this longer data, longer line of code again and again. It would be more time consuming, right? For a programmer says what? I need to complete the specific work or task within the given time. That is the actual programmer, right? But what if we say do not take a variable, just take this and use it again and again? Obviously it is going to take more time writing this again and again. Sometimes we make some mistake also, sometimes we make some syntax error, again we need to restart from the scratch. That means what? It is obviously time consuming. So to do so, what we will do, we will just store this inside a variable. Let's say call it as lst is equals to this, and you use the lst n number of time, you will get the same result. Understood? Now how many times you have to put the engine in the car? One time. And how many times you are going to use the car? Multiple times, several times you are going to use. That's it. That is the meaning of object here. But yes, also one more thing. If I write something like this, okay, and if I say the type of this is also going to give me the type. What is the type of this? List here. We will get the list here. Understood? But if I talk about the ID memory address for this, each time for this memory address will get changed. If you check here, this time we are getting this. Okay. Acha, now this is something different. If I change this now, let's say, um, let me write one more time. I'll say something like, okay, this is taking the same memory space. Now let's say, obviously this is going to take list it is na, so it is going to take the same memory address. I'll take a is equals to 10. Okay, 10 is my data. If I say id of a, now this is my id of a, and let's say suddenly I'm changing this a is equals, or let's say 10 id of this. Okay, and I'll write b is equals to 10 id of b. Yeah, I guess so. We will get the same memory address for this also. What I'm trying to say here, you just try to understand this, leave about this. Whatever the object we are taking, okay, whatever the variable we are taking, behind those variable there will be a class. Okay, already it is being specified in our Python programming, Python software, everything is being specified already. What we have to understand that before using the class, before creating the object, there should be one class. That means to use the engine, you have to create a structure of the class. Are you able to understand? That is what I wanted to show you here. That when you create a specific data, something like this, there is a structure of the car, but there is no engine for this. In the sense, when you want to use the car again and again, you have to put an engine only one time here. What is that engine name? What is that engine name here? LST, object. Understood? You just take this LST is equals to, now this LST is one of the variable, or you can say object, and behind this object there is a class of this particular data called list here. Understood? So every time whenever you type of LST, you will get the same, because this type of LST, this type of data is belongs to our list class itself. Understood? You will more properly, you will understand this particular concept when it comes to object oriented programming. But for now, you try to understand. Now we are in one of the programming language which is, I would say, 30% it is functional oriented, and 70% it is what, object oriented. Now why I am saying this? Because in function also we have object. In function also we have the same object oriented programming. Understood? Why I am saying this? You try to understand this. Now there is a proper way of defining function. I would say this is a function. I am saying def of function, and this is a function. I'll just pass it for now. Okay, this is a function name I have. And what is this pass? What it do? I'll just later on I'll tell you. But if I tell you about this particular function, okay, there is also a class. If you go and check type of function, you check it. What is the type of function? Function itself. But there behind this, what is there? Class is there. That means everything is surrounded by now object oriented. Okay, now you don't have to understand what is object oriented. Later on I will explain you when it comes to OOPS concept. Each and everything I will explain you in detail about it. Okay, for now you just remember it, that behind every object, or we call it as variable, and also we call it as object. Object equivalent to variable, variable equivalent to object. Understood? So behind the variable or behind the object, there must be a class. Did you understand this? Any doubt? Any question? Online guys? Yes, you seems to be so confused here. No? Okay, any question online? Yes, Srinivas, do you have any question?
I'm good.
Okay, great. So this is the meaning of object and the class. Object is nothing but variables. Class is nothing but a data. Whatever the data type we are using, it consists of, it contain under the classes itself. Okay. So these two things we are going to see later on, not now. But for now, you just remember that in Python, every variable is considered as one of the object here, and behind that object we have class. Understood? Clear it is? That's it. Okay. So this is it about our dynamically typed language. So Python is one of the dynamically typed language where we do not have to declare the data type explicitly. Okay. Next is the fifth or sixth. This is fifth one. Okay. Fifth one is interpreted programming language. So Python is one of the interpreted programming language. Now tell me, who knows interpretation process? Who knows interpreter? line by line, right? It checks for the data or for the errors line by line. Not for error, I would say. It executes the programming or program line by line. That's it. But there is a process. You need to understand the process as well. Okay. How does this particular thing works? So let me show you. And first of all, I'll show you the ASCII value here. Okay. So what I will choose is just go to previous batch. Let's call it as 4 p.m. 5 p.m. batch. If it is not there, see ASCII table is there. Okay, this is ASCII table. Okay, representation of our data. So here you can check here. There is a decimal value. There is a decimal value, decimal and decimal. For each decimal, there is a character value. Understood? There is a character value, character and character. Now what you have to understand, that each character has its own decimal value, and this decimal value, now tell me, whoever so can answer this. Okay, what is the language understandable by the computer? Binary it is. Everyone knows binary, zeros and ones. Okay, so whatever the decimal value we have, now let's say, what's a good name? Bharat. Okay, so first cap letter is what? B. Let's search B. Let's call it as capital B. So Bharat has B first character, and the decimal value of 60 B is what? 66. Now how computer is going to understand this, that B belongs to 66? Because there is a specific data table we have. So immediately system will get to know about this B has the decimal of 66, and then computer will do what? It does, it converts 66 into binary. Understood? How it is going to work? Let me explain you here. And this is really important. When you are a programmer, you have to understand how internal process works. Okay? Only knowing programming language, that is okay. But you also have to understand how does it work in real time as well. Okay? Because whatever they have made, it it is meant for something, right? Isn't it? So we have to understand the internal process as well. Knowing subject is good, but knowing in-depth subject is kind of a thing which everyone must at least once in a life should go through it. Okay, so that you can understand the scenario. Okay, you are learning Python, but you don't know how internal process works. You are working in a building as a constructor, or you can say as an you can say a builder, right? And you don't know how the building works, how they make the building, right? If you don't know those things, you can't do a constructor things, right? You can't instruct them, you can't do anything over there. Okay, so before learning anything, you have to know the base of that, right? So let me show you how does it work. So let's say there is the name is Bharat, you have. Is it the correct? Okay, so B is what? 66. B is a character. The out, you take it as input. You have given as what? Input. B is having the character of 66. Now what system will do? System will convert this 66 into binary. How to do that? 66 is going to convert into binary. You don't understand this now. I will tell you later on in a proper way how it works. 2, 33. What is the reminder? 0. 2. Why I'm taking 2 later on I'll tell you. Okay. 2, 16. 1. Great. Next, 2, 8, 0, right. 2, 4, 0, right. Correct. 2, 2, 0. 2, 1, 0. Got it? What is the binary of now? From the bottom to top, you check it. 1, 0, 0, 0, and 1, 0. If you want to cross check it, you cross check it. 2 power of 0, 2 power of 1. 2 power of 1 plus 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2 power of 6. You go and check it. What is the answer of this? 2 power of 6, 64 plus 2, 66. We got the same answer. This is the binary of B. Understood? This is the binary of B we have. And now after learning this, now what system will do? System get to know about this binary is a binary of B. So it will represent this B. Understood? Did you understand how it works? First of all, what it does, it converts the source code. The source code, whatever the source code you are giving, into what? Byte code. Understood? And then this byte code will get converted into machine understandable code. But this byte code I will tell you just now. Okay, machine understandable code in the sense binary. So you can see in this specific example where we have lost it, I guess. In this particular example, we have converted our source code into byte code. Sorry, source. This is source code. Okay, B is a source code converted into decimal to decimal to binary. There is a scenario, right? Same thing you have done here as well. Source code into byte code into machine understandable. This is quite simple thing. I will tell you when it comes to interpreted programming language. Now you understand this. How it works? First it checks for the character. What type of character you have taken. For each and every character present in our system, it has a specific decimal value for that. In fact, if you go for underscore is also having the decimal here. If you go for square bracket is also having the understood, which is all already feeded in our system. We do not have to understand this. One more thing. Okay, you do not have to remember all these things because already it is feeded in our system. Already they have put. Okay, only thing what we have to understand is how internal process works. And I will show you when it comes to later on part. I will tell you how to convert decimal into binary into decimal, how to convert decimal into octal into decimal, and decimal into hexadecimal into decimal. Quite easy. uh, if you are not belongs to mathematical background as well, plus minus everyone knows. Okay, that is only we are going to do here. Understood? Clear it is. So tomorrow I will explain you in more detail about. No. We have 15 minutes, right? Okay. Let's complete it. So as you can see, each and every character is having its own. I don't like. I already told you, right? I will send you this. Everything I will send you. Whatever I am showing you here, everything I will send you. Okay. Do not worry about it. So this is what we have seen, right? So you can see 5 has the integer value 50, 53. 5, check it for 5. So where is 5? You check it. 5, 53. 5 3 is a decimal value. Okay. That's why it is saying integer value 5 3. If we write 5 0, it evaluates to 53 48. Check it. 53, that is 53 for 5, 0 for 48 for 0. Or the integer 5, if we write c is what? B plus 32. B is what? If we write c is equals to B plus 32, then c stores B. Obviously c is going to store what? B here. Understood? Go for B. What is B? Capital B. It is a 66. It is taking 66. Understood? This is how it is going to work. So this is what is the this is the representation of how system get to know about what type of character they have used or what type of data they have used, and based on those data it is going to convert it into binary, and obviously machine can understand only binary itself. So this is how it is converting into binary to again our human understandable. This is a loop scenario. Once we give the data, it will convert it into binary. Then once the data is being processed by the operating system, again it will go back to the user as an output. Understood? Okay. This happens in a flash. Quick response we can call it as. Okay. In a flash it happens. Why? Because if I'm giving a is equals to something like, let's say, Bharat. Okay, this Bharat is one of the character, and immediately it is taken as, or we can say converted into what, binary, and then binary into, if I say A, again we are getting the same output. How we are getting? We could have also get the data as binary, but what we are getting? We are getting human understandable language. That is what the process is. It is a loop kind of cycle. It is, once we give the data, it will get converted into binary to again human understandable language. Understood? Clear it is? Do you have any question, guys? Yes, any one of you? Where we were? Here it is. Did you understand? Now we'll talk about the Python now. So Python, first of all, it takes a naming convention. Okay, let me show you, and without wasting time, I'll show you the interpretation process diagram. Actually, I should go for making it, but let it be. I will just tell you by showing it here. Now you check it. This is the interpretation process. Okay, first there is a source code we have taken. Okay, we have taken a source code called file name.py. This py indicates what? It is a Python file. As this py is also known as extension, we call it as extension. What is extension? For music also we have mp3, mp4 is for videos. More we can say excel, oh sorry, not this, xlsx, this is for excel. When we doc is for document, word file. Similarly csv, comma separated value, these are the extension. So whatever the file name you are taking, we have some extension for that. For every file there is an extension, right? So for this we have .py. .py belongs to what? Python itself. Understood? Is it clear? So whatever the .py file we are writing, we call it as what? Source code. Now source code is, once we start executing it, first of all this source code is getting converted into what? Bytecode. But who is responsible for this? Python compiler. In other programming language like C, C++, Java, C, C++, we have compiler. Compiler does what? At a time it is going to run whole program. But here we are using, internally we are using the compiler. That is also known as a Python compiler. Understood? What it does? At a time it is going to convert source code into what? Bytecode. But not at a time, it is running one by one. Okay, how it is converting? Python compiler runs, or I should not say run it, actually it is not running, sorry, it is not run, I would say. Instead of this, it checks for the syntax. What is syntax? What is syntax? Structure, rules. Okay. So whenever we are writing anything, we need to follow the rules. That is the syntax here. Understood? So this syntax being checked by Python compiler. Compiler does two things. First, it checks for the error in the sense syntax. Okay, if any type of error occurs, basically it only checks for error. What type of error? Syntax error. That's it. Okay, it checks for the rule whether the programmer follows the rule or not. If it does not, then it is going to immediately it is going to return a syntax error. Understood? But second task for Python compiler is what? Once it checks for the syntax, if everything is good, then this Python compiler will do what? Convert the source code into what? Bytecode. The second task. Understood? Clear it is. After this bytecode, once py file is being converted into bytecode, the file name will become what? File name dot pyc. Where I'll be showing you this, I'll be showing you this in the module concept, how this pyc is getting here. Okay, that is also known as what type of code? Intermediate code. And whatever we are doing, this whole process, nothing runs whole at a time. Each and every step takes one step at a time. One step means one after one. Understood? Source code is getting converted into bytecode one after one. That means line by line. Okay. Then Python compiler also checks for the error line by line. Then only convert the source. Let's say, for example, you have written 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 line of code. So first of all, this first line Python compiler check for error. If there is no error, convert it into bytecode. Then Python compiler will go to what? Second line by line it will run this. Okay, and then this bytecode is is being sent to whom? PVM. What is PVM now? Let me clear this all. What is PVM? PVM is nothing but Python virtual machine. PVM reads line by line of bytecode and convert it into machine understandable or readable code and provides it to operating system and processor for the final result. So now you understand source code into bytecode. Bytecode will come to PVM read line by line of code, bytecode, and convert it into machine understandable code. That means binary, right? And then after machine will get the data, whatever the data we machine has. Now that particular data is being processed to operating system or processor. Both will process it and then will get the final result. Did you understand the scenario? Clear it is? Yes, everyone, just give me a quick confirmation. Yes. Okay. Only Bindu is there. Okay. Fine. So for today, shall we stop it here? Notes I will tell you tomorrow about this. Okay, we will see the naming convention, how it get converted. So basically you have to understand that source code is getting converted into bytecode. Then bytecode is being sent to PVM. PVM checks for reads the line by line of code and then give it to convert the bytecode into machine understandable code, give it to operating system or processor. Then after all the process, we get the result. Understood? Clear it is? Okay, fine. So I will share this notes to you. So tomorrow I will tell you this. Any doubt? Any doubt? No? Okay. So guys, one more quick notice, not notice. can't say notice. Uh, Quick recall is if you haven't registered yet, do register yourself. Okay, that's it. And if you have any kind of queries related to subject or any timings or anything, you just contact to the admin team. Okay, I already have shared you the number of admin team. Just contact to them. Fine. Thank you so much, guys. See you tomorrow. Have a great day. And if you have any kind of doubt, you can ask me now. Thank you.